Welcome to Horses to Follow. I'm winging it alone with Michelle Wing today. The bald head didn't come to work this morning, so we're going to have a bit of a disciplinary. And where's Tawanda? I don't know. So I'll produce it. So we're with the Gold Circle TV team, and it's good to be with you. Michelle, welcome.
Great to be here and great to chat with you, Andrew.
Well, thanks for coming at such short notice, like 2 seconds. Yes.
Winging it, literally.
Winging it, yeah. Michelle, we noticed that you're back on air on Teletrack and things like that. What exactly are you up to now?
Right, well, racing news, thanks to all the punters and the supporters and followers out there, we're back on air. We were a magazine show previously, Andrew, and in September last year, a decision was made to perhaps re-look racing news as to how it could be better formulated to meet the needs of punters, and also as life goes on, there's been a change and a shift in broadcast viewing patterns where, as social media has picked up, so the following of broadcast shows has started to wane a bit. And I think this is just indicative of what life is like today. It's fast, it's quick, and people want information that's easily accessible in small pieces and bite-sized chunks. So, racing news is back on air in short pieces. We're going to be sending out those clips from next week. We have a promo that's running at the moment, and they will be like 2-minute pieces flighted between races on Teletrack and put across all social media platforms.
It sounds like a very good idea. It's not a tipping service as such, it's just an information.
It's to give punters and followers value-added, information-driven data to add to what's in a race card. So we're going to be chatting to jockeys, trainers, owners, looking at various aspects in the sport, all with the intention of giving a punter an inside edge to help in the way that those bets are structured and placed.
Yeah, this is try and we've always been accused of being insider driven.
Yeah.
I know when you say, well, you know that trainer, you know this jockey, what's the business? But to get it out there, that's exactly what you're up to.
Yeah, and it's been so well received already. The few people that we've chatted to, Warren Kennedy, Keegan DeMelo, it's also looking at how effective, perhaps, say, jockeys and trainers are at particular tracks, from what stall gates, what weather conditions.
So you're getting really into these things.
Yes.
You're going to confuse everybody.
No, we're having great fun, but we're also finding out a little bit about these people. So it's kind of showcasing our racing stars and sporting heroes. So what drives these people to be as successful as they are? What are those motivating aspects? And what goes on behind the scenes? Money. Yeah. But we'll be doing other things, also showcasing some of our country's top horses, looking at what goes on. We were at Summerfeld this morning chatting to the starter and handlers and the NHA about putting horses through the starting gates, what they do, the work they do, why they do it, things like that.
I think that's great because, a lot of people don't actually understand what goes on behind the scenes. I mean, I had a query this morning about some bloke had backed a horse and it went through, it reared in the pens just as the gates opened and it didn't actually run. It was declared a runner. I was trying to explain to him that once the gates are closed and the gates are sprung, it doesn't matter what happens afterwards, the horse is a runner.
Yeah.
So those are the sort of things that you need to know. But also it's the case of the people at the back, the starters' assistants have to get everything in. Horses, they're all rated according to their ratings. If they're headstrong or don't go in, you have to push, shove,
absolutely,
whatever. And some horses are just difficult. So,
Do you will know this, you can be in the game all your life, but you still never know everything. And in talking to people, there's always something more to learn, whether it is about horses or the way the industry runs. And that is what we are trying to bring. It's not the obvious, it's the information in addition to what is the obvious.
Yeah. I just find that horse racing for the average person these days is so complicated. I mean, I took people to the races the one day and I tried to explain betting to them. and they understood win and place,
Yeah.
but when you go to trifectas and pick sixes and quartets and you can banker this, and they just said, leave us out of it. Yeah.
It is a mind game, I think, and it has been promoted as that to a large extent. But in a way, to try and attract new people into the game, I kind of watch the betting that takes place on sports, soccer. You can go in and have a win bet. Who's going to win?
Yeah.
Who's going to lose? In a way, sometimes I agree with you. I think our betting has become very
It's too complicated.
Complicated. For those punters who are serious about what they do, I think it's a wonderful challenge and it really benefits them. But for the man in the street, I think betting needs to be simplified to a large extent.
I read a piece on Turf Talk the other day. I've forgotten his name, but he writes on Monday morning for Shaw. Name will come to me. But he says, in England, when they go to the races, they go for an afternoon or a day out, and basically most of them want to know win in place. All the fancy exotic bets, you'd just rather leave it out. So. But it's good to know that what's happening behind the scenes. People know how racing operates. It's not just horse comes to the track, put it in and go. No. So So I'm glad. I must congratulate Sunette, your sidekick. That little spot on Teletrack was excellent. I thought you did a brilliant job on it.
Yeah, we're wanting to come with a slightly fresh approach. No, actually not. That's not true. Not slightly. A big,
very
a big difference in the way things have been done. So it is fresh, funky, fun, but also serious with the statistical information and the value-added information put in there, but done in a way that is refreshing. And the feedback and the response that we've got so far has been fantastic. So from next week...
This was a very, very good clip. I thought it was excellent. Yeah.
Thank you. All systems go from next week with clips being pushed out.
Michelle, visiting trainers, you've been up at Summerfelt watching the horses come off the floats, and what's your impression? We've been giving everybody visiting trainers a good plug. The local blokes are getting a bit cheesed off.
You know what I find interesting this year, Andrew, is that the visiting trainers or the Cape trainers are coming to our province almost a month earlier than what they did last year. Justin Snaith had 10 of his string arrive on Monday. Dean Cannemeyer is also here. Vaughan Marshall comes, I think his horses leave Sunday, arrive Monday. Glenn Cotson will be here shortly. He had hoped to come this week, but it's been postponed shortly. So there's a change. I was up at Summerfelt this morning.
Camera, speak to me.
Change on.
It's all about this. The stakes in KZN are much, much better than anywhere else in the country, and they all come a bit earlier. So
But you know what? It's going to add to the excitement, the quality of racing that we have here from a month earlier than what we have had it before. All good for the punters, all good for our supporters and followers.
Yeah, no, that's absolutely correct. How do you think coronavirus is going to affect racing?
Well, it's a concern, I think, to everybody, and you can't deny what is happening internationally and how it's affected international sporting events already. I know we're desperately trying to control it in this country, but I know other countries have said that hasn't been the best route for them. They've had to just try and manage it as it's manifested.
Yeah.
I don't know to what extent we're going to see it here, but I think it is going to have an effect. And
well, we hold our breaths. I mean, my wife is the news editor of The Witness in Maritzburg, and she was on this morning. I said to her, I'm tired of the coronavirus on the front page. She said, it is an important story. She said, you underplaying it. And I was saying, oh no. She said, typical you. Everything's no good. So I think they're worried about it. I think everybody else is worried about it. But if it does start to affect racing, if it goes into the grooms and whatever happens, we could be in a bit of trouble.
Yeah, other industries and companies have already experienced that, and we can only just hope, take the precautions. I think there's a great awareness that's been made, not just internationally, but also in South Africa, and I think everyone has to take personal responsibility. Yeah,
I think Golf Circle actually had a meeting yesterday, if I'm not mistaken, on how they're going to deal with it. So I haven't had any feedback from from the powers that be, but I know they're taking precautions and
Yeah.
at least thinking about how they can put in a backup
Best
plan.
manage it,
Yeah,
yeah,
best
yeah,
manage it, that's
yeah.
right. Yeah. Right, Michelle, how do you get into horse racing? I mean,
Ridden horses all my life, I guess. Competed horses and started on thoroughbreds actually, and just tracing back the bloodlines of those thoroughbreds, got myself involved. And when I was doing a postgraduate psychology degree at UCT many moons back,
psychology degree, okay,
yeah, I met up with Charles Fall,
right.
who in those days was already doing a lot of his photographic work, and my younger sister was a springboard diver sponsored by Speedo. And one thing led to another. Met Charles, I started writing for him, met Andrew Bond, met Martin Locke, and got involved in racing. And it's a passion, like with I think most of us, it gets under your skin.
So you don't punt, you actually like the racing?
I'm one of those people who has a flutter on the July, literally.
Yeah.
I'm in it for the sport. I really love the sport, the excitement. I follow the betting closely. But I personally, that's not where I get my pleasure and enjoyment from it. It is the true spirit, courage, athletic ability of these magnificent animals racing against each other that spins my wheels.
Yeah. Now also, I quite agree with you there, because I don't really punt either. But what I find fascinating is the stories behind the stories. If you go to the track in the morning and you speak to some trainers, they're a bit sort of reticent and they sort of don't come back. But eventually they come up with some story about some lunatic horse that they've managed to calm down and get it to race, or all the stories behind the stories. And I find that is fascinating.
Yeah, it is.
People don't actually realize it. I mean, they come to the race courses, in the pens, out, collect.
There's a lot of richness and wealth of information behind these people and the industry and the horses. Just talking about going to the track in the morning, I would love to see, in going forward, some kind of reporting or feedback coming back from the tracks in the morning about horses that are working, whether it's just a comment or two, but somebody in a reporting capacity being there, watching horses, particularly during champion season. One can't hope to see every single horse work every single morning, but perhaps during the course of a week, you've covered at least some of the more fancied runners over the season, and maybe even recorded something on cell phone that can be uploaded.
I know, I understand where you come from, but we sort of limited in resources as the people who can actually go there. I'm talking my publishing department, myself, David Thistleton, and Michael Clower in Cape Town. There's the three of us, and trying to produce form guides, tips, go to Summerfeld, speak to trainers. It's not easy.
No,
it's not like the overseas country. Also like Hong Kong and those sort of places where everything is sort of it's all together. So you can sit up in the grandstand and you can watch it, and you speak to the trainers afterwards.
Maybe something to think about in going forward. It would require somebody dedicated to doing that, probably every morning, but it would be wonderful.
Right.
Anyway.
No, great, Michelle. Have you got any tips for us on Sunday?
Haven't had a chance to look at the race card for Sunday. We have been so busy with racing news, getting it up and getting our first set of clips.
When is your first set coming out?
They will come out next week. Exact day not yet known, but it will be publicised.
Okay, all right. And what is the first clip about?
It'll be Warren Kennedy. And
I thought you said Warren Inferno. I was about to be sick.
I think everyone's talking about Warren Kennedy, but we get to know a little bit about the person behind Warren in addition to his riding. And it's wonderful. There's some lovely stories.
He was always a very quiet person, I seem to remember. Before he became famous.
I think becoming a father's changed him a little bit, and just like the interesting stories behind horses, there's always something interesting behind people who have accomplished or achieved in life in whatever respect.
Yeah.
And so we hope to bring you some of those gems and jewels behind those people.
Oh, Michelle, we're looking forward to it. And good luck with your new venture.
Thank you. We're having great fun.
Good. Now we're going to try and go through the race card for Hollywood Bets Greyville Sunday. You'll have to put up with my tips. They're not always very good. But we'll start off in the first race, Durban View Restaurant Qualified Maiden. So right at the bottom of the scale. I'm going for for Anton Marcus, Luxembourg. Anton hasn't had a winner since he came back from suspension. I think this might be his first one here. Started favourite last time out, and I think it's going 1900 metres for the looking for that sort of a distance. So I'm going Luxembourg and Cassius Colt, and Baccara, that started favourite last time out. I think we'll probably improve on that run. We cross over to the second race, Follow the Gold Circle on Facebook, Maiden Plate. Marcus again. Started favourite Clouded Leopard last time out. I actually went against her in the beginning, and then I changed my selections, and I don't actually know why. Oh, yeah, of course, Rise. That form behind Rise at her penultimate start was a good effort, and the form has worked out. So I think maybe her last run in the yielding going at Maritzburg may have been a bit of an anomaly, and I think she might improve on that effort. And you get Adorable Ali and Brave Lass on my second and third. And also we've got to worry about Tony Nassif when he comes down to KZM. I've never met a more positive person than Tony Nassif. Every time. And he'll haul you aside and say, Andrew, I think this has got a chance. Don't worry about the form. There was a very good one by Consul Queen last time out. Ashton Aries just stays in the saddle, so I just want to watch there. The third race, Cool, Telebet, Track and Ball, Fixed Odds. Oh, God, I'm not going to tell the number. You can find that out yourself. I've got Green Ice, Alison Wright, and Tristan Godden. Had a bad draw last time. Good effort behind Queen of Beauty. Drawn one this time out. Definitely one to put into the book. And Duchess of Malfi, still a maiden, which is interesting. But Glenn Cotson has got Jabu Jacobs taking 4 kilos off. And if you look at the merit ratings, must have a chance in this field. Fourth race, Track and Bull, online. You can follow that yourself. Look it up in the race card. Don't laugh. We've got Dennis Bosch. Dennis Bosch is having. Maurice Ferreira has he's bought a place in Summerfield. Do you know?
I had heard that as well.
I bet you bought Rupert Plursh's place. Yeah, I believe Dennis has moved there. He's training from there, so that's quite interesting.
It's a beautiful property.
It is.
Yeah.
So Joy Mashara, good Cape Town form, first run for Dennis, and What a Thrill. Anton Marcus, Johan Janssen van Vieren, 2 sprints, going 2,200 metres, 2,000 metres now for the, and her form before that, I think she shows it a bit of form, so that she might go that far. And nearly took too many over. Right, Gold Circle podcast, that's us.
Yeah.
Okay, we got, I think it's quite a difficult race. Dean Caname Favour, I think it was a bit of a disappointment behind High Green, but I think probably needed the run. High Green Loan Donation's been battling with it. He's always thereabouts, and he finally came right the last time out. And Joshua Solomons takes 4 off his back. So I think he's definitely got a chance. Gentleman's Wager, Sunny Bill Dutoy, and MJ Woodendall. I love him. He's a
character.
He's a character. I love it.
Yeah.
Wildlife Safari. Sixth race. Download the new Tab Gold soccer betting app. 73 handicap. Angel Bouquet, Yogas Governor, Anton Marcus again. I think Anton's picked a few plums here.
Yeah, it looks like it.
And I think that might be the one to go from a good draw. And I'm a bit wary of Naomi, Garth Pullo, Jose Ramsen, 4 kilos off his back. I thought she'd win last time out, but and Ginger Biscuit never far off. Always have to put her in. Seventh race, Gravel Convention Centre Handicap. This is the most interesting race on the card. We've got 3 3-year-olds. We've got Mount Anderson, Master of Illusion, and Padre Pio. I think they might be classic contenders in champion season. Mount Anderson, I was most impressed last time. I mean, coming around the turn at Gravel wasn't going anywhere. And Keegan kept pushing, and suddenly just took off. It didn't know what it was doing, and won very, very well. I think on that run, I think with only 52 from draw one, I think he's a big runner, the one with the horse to beat. Master of Illusion, another master of my fate was Dennis Dreyer. Dennis knows all about the quirks and things from he had Master of My Fate. I think he was quite glad to see him leave the yard, but he chewed up a few people. But anyway, he's got tongue tie and cheek pieces this time out, and the form is good. So I think from a good draw, it might be the biggest danger. And Padre Pio went to Cape Town for their Cape season.
Yeah.
So I don't know what they went for actually. Ran the Cape Classic nowhere. I thought they may have gone down for one of those big features there. And Wayward, Spooky Humby, you never know with Spooks. He said to me, it will like the Polly. I said, it's a tough race. He says, well, why do you ask me that? Right, I did the right. Hollywood Bets, Bright Future, 79 handicap, end of the card. I think Mark Dixon's got the right one here, and Dinetto. Drawn 12 out of 12 last time behind African Sunrise. I think African Sunrise is a fair sort of a horse, and I think he might be the right one here. But if you're looking for bankers, Mount Anderson for me. Michelle, thanks for coming in.
It's been wonderful chatting, Andrew.
Yeah, I hope we did talk some sense. But anyway, and that's the wrap from us. Baldy's not here to make a noise. Oh, scratchy. Oh, looking at the Maria. This side looks better. And Tawanda is, I don't know where Tawanda is. So we thanks to Denver and all the TV crew at Gold Circle, we appreciate them missing their lunch. And that's a wrap for us. We'll see you next week.